Well, excited to have Sam Breene join us this morning, Venango County Commissioner candidate. Congratulations, Sam, making it through the primary. And kind of tell us a little bit about yourself before we get into the campaign and we'll find out what happens this fall.
Yeah, sure. I'm Sam Breene. I am from Oil City, Pennsylvania. Grew up there. I went to Allegheny College. For elementary school, I went to St. Stephen's. I'll throw a shout out there. And also Oil City Public Schools for middle school.
Nice.
Then after college, I started working for my family's business. For the last almost 10 years, I've been working for Congressman Mike Kelly, who represents Crawford County. And I've worked with him in just about every capacity that there is in a congressional office. And I really was brought on his team from the very beginning to be a representative and a voice for Western Pennsylvania in his office, whether that was his DC office or back here at home. So in that job, I learned a lot about working with county governments, seeing what works best, seeing the best practices of some counties, and in other cases, maybe some practices that aren't so good. And it was time for me to focus on Venango County, I thought, when the opportunity arose that there would be an open seat. That was where my passion is. That's where my heart is. And so I decided to run, and thankfully I got through the first phase of it.
Well, let's back up just a little bit. Family heavily involved in Venango County politics, but for you, what age did it become a passion for you?
Oh, wow.
Because sometimes you hear that, right? Like, yeah. Oh, my parents are involved in this, but I have no interest in doing it.
I'll tell you, there's a couple phases to this question.
All right.
This is something. So for me, I was stuffing envelopes and handing out flyers. I'm not kidding you, at like 4 or 5 years old. It was part of family life. You just when the months before election time came around, there were going to be, a dozen people sitting at the dining room table with a pot of coffee, stuffing envelopes. And when a Lincoln Day dinner came around, it wasn't an option not to be there. That's where we were eating that night. So I grew up in it, and I value that, because even with some of my siblings that haven't taken that career path or have not gone down and not quite as active, they all have a civic mindedness that I think is above average. And I think it's really important for kids to be involved that way. Now, what took me down a path where I would be more involved in that, there are two things. One, I would say, that stands out and always has, was when Quaker State headquarters left Oil City. I was in 4th grade at St. Stephen's. That next year, after Quaker State had left, about 25% of my classmates were gone. Wow. And I remember I was old enough to really have it sink in that, this is wrong. Why is this happening? Why can't we stop this kind of job loss from happening in our hometown? And I didn't know exactly how to do it then, but I knew that I wanted to be involved in helping reverse that trend in Western Pennsylvania.
And I think, not to interrupt, I'm sorry, but Mike Kelly. Well, Mike Kelly, I think, stepped in to try to help with GE up in Erie, correct?
Oh yes, we stepped in with GE. We stepped in most successfully probably with Lord.
So, in the back of your mind, did you think back to that time when you were in school and think, "Wow, here I am"?
It literally informs every decision that I make in my job now, and I think it's safe to say every decision that Mike Kelly makes is this going to keep jobs or bring jobs to the people that we represent, or is this going to be detrimental to that? So yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, it's It's literally in the back of my mind with every single decision that we make. It's what defines my priorities for being a public servant.
So but somebody might look at you and go, "Wow, here's a guy that gets to do a lot of traveling, working with a congressman. He's in D.C. He must see a lot of really cool people. Now he wants to come back to Venango County."
No, it's very different for me. I like to say most of the people working in D.C. Are there because they watched a lot of The West Wing growing up and just wanted to work there.
Yeah.
They didn't care who they were working for or what they were doing.
But do you ever just step outside and look around and go, "This is pretty cool"?
Well, I can get to that, but honestly, for me, it was truly, it was never about working in D.C. It was about working for Western Pennsylvania.
Sure.
In D.C. and trying to be a voice that I knew was going to be different, even on staff. Sometimes I would have never been one. I would have had no desire to go there and work for a member from Kansas, say. But I did want to work for a conservative Republican from Western Pennsylvania. And to answer your question, obviously I've always been a big fan of history and American government. So there is a thrill when you're walking in and get to know when you go up to the Capitol building and you say, "Wow, I work there." But that was never the reason that I wanted to be there.
Sure.
And when that fades, you know that it's time to get back home permanently. And I was always a resident of Oil City. I was constantly driving back and forth, and that's one of the things. So I was back just about every weekend. At periods in the last 10 years, I've worked for 2 years. I've been back here for a year and a half, full time working in the district. So, but that said, I've put 300,000 miles on 2 vehicles in the last 10 years. So that's 30,000 miles a year. I'm just fine with having a shorter commute to Franklin, hopefully, and and the whole reason for me being down there in the first place was for this area. So I'd never had any intention for that to be a permanent place. And honestly, I would have been just fine probably if I hadn't met Mike Kelly. I would have been just fine staying here working for my family business, and I wouldn't thought anything of it.
You said you kind of waited for that right opportunity to get in on this, and you've done that. And again, congratulations! Great night, Tuesday night. Now you're looking ahead to fall. How does strategy change from primary to fall? Does it at all? What do you do between now and November?
The same thing that I've been doing. I'm working full time for Mike, which that gives me an opportunity to work directly with other counties. And like I said, I see what works and what doesn't. But on the campaign trail, I'll be out meeting people, talking to people, and that's what's great about this job. Is that I enjoy it. Maybe it's a genetic disorder. I don't know, but we're
looking into that for you.
Yeah, but I really enjoy being out, talking to people, hearing their concerns. Heck, part of this job is hearing their complaints and listening to those things, seeing if there's something we can do, and learning what we can do. And so I'm going to be, going door to door. I'll be walking in parades, which are things that you've
always done.
Always done, yeah. So, and things that I love, and always thinking about how we can work together and make the region better.
You are an inside person who has been able to look at it from the outside as well. What are some of the hidden treasures of Venango County or Northwest Pennsylvania? What do you hope to enhance?
Oh man, this is another thing that you talked about, part of that question before of why would I not want to work in D.C. Well, I always was trying to get back here. Every weekend I was back, even when I was working down there, and it's because of we have an incredibly unique history. We have incredibly unique architecture. I've worked with the counties around us. Venango County is different in a lot of ways that are very good. We have We have the Allegheny River flowing through us, and it's a beautiful waterway. We have all the outdoor activities that you could want. You can go out and you can go fishing without driving in 3 hours of traffic. You can float down the river without having to pay someone $45 for a stinky raft.
Right.
You can go out with your buddies and shoot your guns without worrying about anyone banging on your door. So there are a lot of there's just the things that I like and enjoy doing I can do here, and a lot of it is outdoors. But you can play around a golf on a beautiful course without having to wait all day and pay $100 for a round. I mean, there's tons of benefits, and you can drive if you do want a more metropolitan experience. It's faster to get down to Pittsburgh from Oil City or Franklin than it is to get into DC in traffic from 20 miles away. So, I mean, you really do have it all, and if you have and if you like the quality of life that I do, it's a much better place to live than most.
You're watching the Morning Drill on Stream Television in Armstrong and listening to it on the Allegheny News Talk Sports Network. Here with Sam Breene this morning, and Sam, you're talking about jobs. We know that there's companies all over Northwest PA looking to hire, having a difficult time.
Yeah.
We had Lance Hummer on not too long ago, and he was talking about in the next 5 years, I think there could be a deficit of like 80,000 jobs. Those jobs available
in what area?
Northwest PA.
All right.
People retiring. You've got the cracker plant coming in.
Sure.
There's a real opportunity. How do we? I mean, we can't go door to door and make people work, but how do we get young folks in that position where they want to go out and take these jobs? These are good paying jobs.
Mm-hmm. Well, we have to encourage people to be trained in the areas that there are jobs. I remember when I was coming out of college, it was during the, at the very beginning of the Great Recession, and it was very hard to find work, and a lot of people were coming out of college with degrees, and we used to joke that that with your degree you should also get training for a welding certificate at graduation, because that's the only way you're going to get a job. And that's, I think, for too long, parents have and people have focused on, you have to get a college degree. You have to get a college degree. You know what? Not everyone's ready to go to college when they come out of high school, and they certainly aren't ready to take on an incredible debt. So that we should be focusing on making sure that people go and get trained in the job for the jobs that there are. Encourage that, and also not let them know that that's not a terminal thing. This is an opportunity. That means you're going to get paid. You're going to work well. Some of my best friends that are doing better than my friends that went to college are the ones that started working right out of high school, and now they're in supervisor positions. They make great salaries, and a lot of cases they do have their college degrees, and they were able to pay for it, and they're debt free. Best spokesperson for it, the poster child should be, Judge Boyer we have in Venango County. He's a VOTEC graduate, and now he's a judge, and a very good one. And that's a non-traditional path, but it's a very good one, and it's viable for anyone that wants to do it. So I think encouraging kids.
Is there still a stigma with that though in school, where that's a VOTEC, that's a business student, that's a when today everybody sort of needs a little bit of everything offered?
I know it's fading more than it ever has.
Okay.
But I think, like I said, I don't know if it's with the kids. I don't think it's with the kids. I think the problem is getting that mindset changed with a generation of people that were told, and that by that I mean some of the older people and parents, the generation of people that had it beaten into them that everyone needs to go to college.
And I'm sure you've spoken to lots of schools or folks involved that you're trying to get that change. And I think that conversation is happening where it's like,
it is. No, it definitely is, and it's happening out of necessity because, like you said, companies are having a really hard time hiring people, and our economy's thriving. I mean, even around here, you can't go to a business without seeing a help wanted sign. Now, is it thriving to the point that we want? No, we were. I'll be honest. We were 30 years behind, and we had a long period of decline before the Trump economy, and now we have to take advantage of it and keep it going, but also be able to feed people into those jobs, and that's going to mean working with the. We have a lot of institutions around here that we should be an opportunity to get people trained for the jobs that there are now in manufacturing and healthcare, and so we have the infrastructure there to train them. We have Northwest Regional Community Colleges coming up. We have Titusville here. We have their campus. We have the Clarion campus in Oil City. We have a phenomenal VOTech, and I think that the key is making sure that the businesses that are hiring are at the table when they're talking about educating our people here. So that they're being talked to about what curriculums. We let the businesses tell us what curriculums they need taught, not the academics saying to businessmen, well, this is what we think needs to be taught for the people that work there. No, it's backwards thinking.
Should there be a mix of training those folks around here, but also bringing in others?
You always have to. I mean, that's.
But Pennsylvania isn't a very friendly state. It's always ranked towards the bottom when you look at some of these lists. What do you do about that? I'm asking you, Sam.
I'm just thinking, how long do we have?
3 minutes.
3? Oh, dang it. All right. Well, let me tell you that, no, we are winning. Our economy is winning despite, I would say, some bad job environment maybe coming from Harrisburg. Now, I think our representatives here, we are not a part of the problem, but yeah, we are not a friendly state to do business in, and I think that it's important that I can't do anything about what's happening in Harrisburg,
right,
except talk to my representatives, and I always do that, and I will continue to do that, and I'll fight for what I've said from the beginning are my priorities, which is policies that are going to be pro-jobs. But at the county level, it is a goal, it's a broad goal of making it as business friendly as possible, as friendly to do business in Venango County as possible. And we can't worry about the things we can't change, but we definitely have to identify the things we can and work towards that priority.
You, Mike Delaney, Bonnie Summers, Chipper Branvik. Moving on to the fall.
Yeah.
If you look at any pairings there, does that bring up some excitement of the future of Venango County?
I think it's great. We have some young people. I mean, I'm 36. We have some young people getting involved. I think people are very excited about that. We have experience there too. So any combination there is going to be I think a good thing and an exciting thing for the county. And the most important thing, I told you that I've seen the best and worst practices of the counties around us and counties all over the state of Pennsylvania. And the one thing that the best practices always have in common are 3 commissioners from different parties working together for common goals, not bickering, not having any kind of tension within the office, but working towards common goals. That is the first ingredient in the recipe for success, and not having it is the first thing to ruin that recipe. It makes it infinitely harder to try and get things done when you're not working together, and it's just wrong for the county. I mean, especially in Venango County and other places, we can't let things like that like petty differences distract us from the ultimate goal, which is the good of the county.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
On to the fall.
Onward and upward.
Did you learn anything today?
What do you mean?
Well, just by sitting here, did you learn anything? I always ask our last guest of the day if you learned anything.
I've learned you're a heck of a nice guy. I enjoy the heck out of getting around and talking to people about the issues. So, I've enjoyed it, and I've also learned where your Titusville studio is. So, some practical
Now you've
knowledge.
been to both Oil City.
Yeah.
And Titusville. Hey,
yeah.
good to see you, Sam. Thanks
Good
for coming.
seeing you too.
Take care.